Hi, I'm Michelle Tennant Nicholson. This is my living scrapbook, and a lot of times I don't get what my husband actually does in the Sprinter van or all the other wonderful things that he does. And so I decided in 2025 I'm going to make a difference and try to get a little more in his world, because I know it's really valuable for a lot of other van lifers and other people who are handy out there. So in this case, we're going to be doing a template and how he's actually putting things in the engine of our Sprinter van in a very unique way. I'm going to let him explain it since I can't explain. Hi, my husband.
Hi.
Why don't you tell everybody what you're working on today, and I'll actually film a little bit of it so people can learn from you.
Sure. So we've got our Sprinter van here, and I have a lot of electronic equipment that I'm going to be putting in, and I want a place to put it. So I have well, I'll show you when we get inside the garage. Give you an idea of what I'm doing. I'm building a platform, and it's going to sit just like this in here. I'm using cardboard as a template, and I was actually making some last-minute measurements. I decided I wanted to drop it down just a little bit because this hood has a bulge in it that I think when I shut this down, it's going to remove a little bit of the headroom in there. So I don't want it too close to the top because I've got some things that are a couple inches tall. So I made this cardboard template, and it is going to bolt onto these two bolts right here. These are the hood hinge bolts. So it's going to bolt from the inside right here. It's going to be made from 1/8 inch thick plate aluminum. I'm using 5052 aluminum, so it's H32. It's a little bit more bendable than 6061, for example, which is brittle. When you bend it, it breaks. So hopefully, if the plan goes good, this will bend in a 90-degree angle. I only need one bend in this. So I'm going to cut it, I'm going to bend it once. It's going to bend like this, so it's basically a 90-degree corner. And then the rest of it's going to sit flat. I'm going to extend this little platform a little further. So I'm going to have about a 6-inch by 4-inch extra elbow out here. And then this area right here, which is roughly 11 inches by 12 inches. And once I get the details all dialed in, like all the dimensions, I'll share those.
And I'll put those in the description of the video.
Okay.
I'm going to follow you back.
All right. So come on into the garage.
They haven't seen any of our videos on the homestead, beekeeping, woodworking, fitness. That's my thing, not his. Although he loves to mountain bike and whitewater kayak. But anyway, this is specific to this project now.
I've also been playing around with this. So this is, you can kind of see how that would sit in the van roughly. And I made some furniture, basically like dollhouse furniture out of some cardboard, and marked it so that I can place it and play around with where I want this stuff. So I have a winch cutoff switch. It's going to go in here somewhere. I've got some bus bars, positive and negative bus bars that are going to need to go in here. So you can see it's going to be quite full of stuff. And I'm playing around with this. I just kind of threw this on here. This is not going to be the final layout. And I have to consider things like winch cables are 2/0 gauge. So they're very thick, they don't bend a lot, and so I need to make sure that I have room to bend cables in this tight spot. But let me show you why we're doing this. So we got a whole bunch of goodies here. It's kind of like Christmas time. We got some lights, some more lights. These are 3-inch square lights. These are actually going to go in this bumper. So this is a winch bumper that I ordered from Weston, and I'm really pleased with this thing. It's super heavy duty, steel winch bumper. We've got our winch right here. It's a Apex 12,000 pound winch, and then I've got some stuff like the switch panel here. This, I'll show you, are kind of like, these are kind of the things that I need to place on that aluminum panel. So, for example, this switch box right here. This is a 6-device switch panel, and this just lifts up on a hinge. Somehow it's not bolted down, so it's a little tough to open. Can I get that open? There we go. So this has solid state relays in it. They're behind here. These are the fuses. These are where your devices go in. It makes it super simple to wire a bunch of devices in, and then they're controlled by a small switch that will be inside the van. And what's nice about this is there is not a whole bunch of cables that have to run through the firewall. You have one single cable that runs through the firewall, and that's it. And then you have the switch panel, which will have labels on it, just to clearly mark what devices each button turns on. And here's my aluminum plates. So I just got these in this morning.
That's what you were waiting on all weekend.
I was. This was going to be my project for the weekend, and I was going to do this yesterday, but it wasn't here. Amazon actually canceled the previous order that I had. The previous order was for a similar size aluminum plate, but I don't know. They just didn't have it after all, I guess. And so I don't know. They canceled that order. Let's see. Okay. So this is what those plates look like. They're not blue, by the way. You might already know that, but these are just bright silver finished. But it does have this blue protective tape on it. And I'm actually going to leave that tape on here throughout the process of cutting these and drilling these and all of that stuff, just so that I kind of preserve the beauty, I guess, of these plates. I only need one. It came in a 2-pack, but that's just how it came. And these are kind of stuck together here. And let me see if I can get these apart. Yeah, here we go. So that's our aluminum plate right there. And so I'll cut this, bend up a side, cut it out, kind of to match this this little mock-up that I have, this pattern that I've created, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, well, we're going to check in back with you a little bit later to see how it's going. All right, so it is several hours later. Why don't you update everybody on what you've done?
Well, I made a part.
All right, let's see.
I did a thing.
You sure did.
So I don't have my fuse block yet, this one, but I've got everything else. So I'm kind of laying it out, trying to figure out where it goes.
Wow. So how did you bend that? That's kind of neat.
Yeah, so I used a vise. I used this vise. I put it on the floor, but I used this vise, and I used, I just bent it by hand, basically, with the vise. So I used some blocks to support the vise, because it's not bolted down. I put my foot on it, And I used a thick piece of aluminum right here, actually. I used this to help create a break for it because the throat of this vise isn't deep enough. So this was kind of in there, and I bent it over this piece of, this is 1/8 aluminum right here. This is 6061 aluminum, I think, which is, you can't bend this. This would break if you try to bend it. But this is 5052 H32 aluminum. It is a softer aluminum, and it's made for this type of manipulation. So I bent it, just a simple 90-degree angle right there, and I got it exactly how I wanted it. To get it to 90 degrees, you actually have to bend it further than 90 degrees because it springs back. And so.
And then how did you slice it? Like, how did you cut it?
I used a jigsaw.
Okay.
I just used a jigsaw with a bimetal blade, like a fine blade though, so that it would make smooth edges, and it cut this really nicely. And then I used a hasp or a file, just a simple like this to smooth the edges. So
you actually used your template. Just I'm doing for, you know, most of the guys that are watching or gals who know how to do this. They're like, that's all basic.
Yeah.
But so you put your template on there, you drew it on there, and then you just cut it with a jigsaw, smoothed it out, and then you bent this. How did you get those 2 holes in there? You just drilled them?
Yeah. So I did that before I bent it, because it's easier to do it when it's a flat plate.
That's awesome.
So I did that. Those are just...
And then how will this get on? Are you just gonna like bolt those on then?
Yeah.
That's how it goes?
These will get bolted on with these little, I don't know if that pops off very easy, but these have little holes in those. So when I figure out where I want these, before I mount this, I'll drill all the holes with a drill press. I'm actually going to, I'll cut this piece out as well. So I'll drill both sides of I'll mark it, you know, and remove it, of course, but I'll drill both sides of this out, and then I'll cut in between so that it creates the same trough, or that same odd-shaped hole that's round on both ends. The reason for that is that the wires will actually go under the plate, come up through the plate, and then mount here, rather than coming over the plate. And I don't know why. Auxbeam designed it that way, and that's fine. And then that way this closes, and this is kind of spray watertight on top.
When will you do that? So we got well, that'll be another day because you're done for the day.
Yeah, I'm done for the day. And I'm waiting for this other fuse block. I want to make sure that everything fits exactly the way that I want it to, because I did discover things like the furniture is great. These cardboard cutouts, they're great, except that you know, wires are stiff. This 2-gauge wire is very stiff, and I wanted to figure out like where my power wire is going to come in, and then where the winch wire will go out from this, and then practical things like this. So this thing hinges, but if I have it too close to something else, it requires, for the outswing of this, it requires about 1.5 inches of space behind it. Otherwise it won't open. So I have to leave an open space behind it. And so it's best to have all the parts and then mock it up with all the parts rather than just cardboard. Cardboard's great to start with, but once you actually move it from concept to reality, you run into things that aren't shown on the furniture here.
And how long will we have to wait for you to get the rest of the parts?
This fuse block comes today, supposedly, if Amazon doesn't let me down. And if that's the case, then I'll probably mock this up, I don't know, later this week and drill it all out, mount it up.
All right. Yeah. So everybody, this will be part 1 of the video. So if you guys want to see what happens, I'll mark a part 2 and link them together in the description so you have both episodes. Like and subscribe. Lots of fun stuff with VanLife. We're really having a good time, aren't we?
I am, yeah. I enjoy this part of it, you know, the dreaming and the creation and the fabrication and the implementation. So. Yeah,
so I thought I would get a little more of what he's doing. Sometimes I come out and he's just done a tremendous amount of work. Like, for example, one day, where is that piece? Oh, is that it? Right here.
What is the
he
piece?
Told me you were just doing a little bit of woodworking, and then I came out, and you built this whole thing.
Oh, I built this, yeah, table saw table.
And I was like, well, I could have definitely put that on my channel because I bet there's some people who want to do that. So we're going to try to do a little more of capturing what my husband's doing, because I know you all, most of the people on YouTube want that. So just some of the people want the fitness stuff. All right. Bye, you guys.